All right. Some of you asked questions that were answered in part 1 of this weekly Q&A. Make sure you go back and check that one out in case you haven't done so already. Make sure you follow me on Twitter so that way you can participate yourself for future Q&A videos. Smash that subscribe button. Here we go, part 2. Again, apologies for the delay in doing this. I intended to do it a couple days ago, but life happens. Dane the Funky Homo Sapien. How does the possible addition of Kansas and Iowa State to the Big Ten change the basketball landscape? Since we obviously know that's not going to change Big Ten football, LOL. Iowa State is not trash in college football. Kansas is. But Iowa State's got a good program, especially with Campbell in charge. Like, I would sleep on them. No, they're not in Ohio State, but they're not garbage. They're like a Northwestern ... better. Can I say something else here, though? Like, this whole, like, hey, you're going to have Texas and other schools move to the SEC. You're going to have potentially Kansas and Iowa State move to the Big Ten. Like, this is fucking stupid. Bad enough in leagues like the NBA, you have to deal with the concept of the damn super teams. Now we got to get to the super mega fucking conferences. I hate this shit. It's stupid. Maybe an inevitability, but just dumb. We don't need to do that. Or should we? We know it's all about money and every damn thing else, but damn it all. Why can't we have the conferences the way the hell they are? Why do we have to always make everything the damn same? Sorry about my rant. But it certainly would have some impact on the Big Ten basketball landscape. Joseph Moran, is Fernando Tatis Jr. the fastest rising star since Ken Griffey Jr.? I would even wonder, is he actually the fastest rising star in baseball? Talking about Tatis? Wouldn't that be Shohei Ohtani? I mean, if we're going to be technical here, wouldn't he be the faster rising star? Well, Tatis, I'm just saying. But even if you wanted to say it was Tatis, there's a significant difference between Tatis's level of growth in terms of star power and Ken Griffey Jr.'s. I'll educate you because you were a young man. You weren't alive during the peak of the kid's career. You didn't grow up on the kid like I did. And let me tell you, Ken Griffey Jr. was one of them dudes in the 90s. Like, Ken Griffey Jr. came out of the gates day one, and he was a fucking star. He was the star of the game for the majority of a decade. Even the Bonds fans have to acknowledge that, as great and magnificent of a player as Barry Lamar Bonds was. There's no question, from a pure star power, captivating the public, like scope and reach, Ken Griffey Jr. was that marketable face of the game. He was that dude. Tatis is not on that level. It is not close. Whether he is the closest since, I don't even think he's the closest one in today's game. That's probably Shohei Ohtani. But that said, either one of them, they don't reach Ken Griffey Jr.'s stratosphere in terms of, like star burning white hot or the young star of the game. Like, no. Griffey was vastly superior in that sense. Trinell_Sally. Is Suge Knight the biggest idiot in music history? He had Snoop, Dr. Dre, and Tupac at the same time in their primes and messed it up. He's an idiot, criminal, like all that other shit. Like, pretty big idiot. He had Snoop, Dre, and Pac. Pac was dead by the mid-90s, though, to be clear. But yeah, like, I don't know if he's the biggest idiot in music history, but he's certainly one of them. And fuck Suge Knight. Man Herpy. General thoughts on the 2021 NBA Finals and Giannis saying fuck super teams. The NBA Finals weren't all that good. And the playoffs weren't all that good. They just weren't. They were kind of a boring watch. Game 5 was really good. Game 6 was interesting. But it certainly wasn't a compelling, epic, like, can't-miss series. But I was incredibly happy for Giannis and the Bucks. Because Giannis, when you look at what he did, like, he stayed loyal to the team that drafted him. He didn't go take the lazy LeBron Durant way out, which, again, They had the leverage to do so. That's how free agency works. I can't knock them for that. I can knock them for not having enough belief in themselves in the situation that they were in, that they could feel comfortable that they could overcome. They did take the bitch-ass easy way out. And anybody that says otherwise is just clowning. They're just fooling themselves. Like, stop capping. They took the punk-ass easy way out. Especially Durant. 3-1 lead on the Warriors, and it was all Russell Westbrook's fault. Sure it was. He was the only one to blame. And you go and join him, you can't beat him, join him shit? That's punk-ass stuff. So yeah, I love the thought of Giannis sticking true to his team and believing in them and believing in himself and not running away from the criticism, not running away from the failure. Like, earn my eternal respect for his performance in that NBA Finals. So happy to see him win, and I hope we get more teams in the future that win that are constructed similarly to the Milwaukee Bucks, where you don't have a bunch of fucking title-chasing dudes. Z312 Smooth 95. This will be a pretty lengthy list, but in 1996, the NBA's 50th season, the 96-97 season, I remember, they released a list of the 50 greatest players of all time. Now that the NBA is in its 75th season, what 25 players would you add to the original 50 to make a 75 greatest players list? I'm not going to list them all out. Some of the ones are clearly obvious. Like, obviously, Kobe and LeBron and blah, 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 Tim Duncan, Dirk. Like if you wanted to say, like, you're not putting 25 new players. Like, you're probably putting more new players on there because, some of those rankings, I look at some of them peeps and I'm like, nah, bullshit. Those guys didn't even belong in the top 50. I still think it's a gross miscarriage of justice that Dominique Wilkins wasn't listed as one of the 50 greatest players of all time back in 96, 97. That was trash. So there would be a lot of changes to that list. There absolutely would be. But I am not going to take time to list them out here now. Sorry. L Wildcat 69. If Texas and Oklahoma join the SEC, creating a 16-team conference, does it make more sense to break out the conference into 2 8-team divisions or 4 pods of 4 teams? Probably 2 8-team divisions, but the 4 pods of 4 teams is interesting. But then you're having like a semifinal for the conference championship and then a final maybe. It just sucks. I'm so stupid. I'm not trying to be like old man yelling at the clouds, stuck in my ways type of thing, but I can't be the only one that hates the concept or the idea of this, am I? I hope not. Rick Styles, 1985. Will Zion Williamson win a championship for New Orleans, or will he eventually be part of a super team somewhere else? Who says he ever wins a championship? How about I have that take? I will say this. I don't know about the super team part, but it is much more likely that Zion Williamson would someday win an NBA championship not in New Orleans than he would in New Orleans. I feel comfortable in saying that. Josh Grantham, 7. If I may, how did you become a Bears fan? Did you grow up in the area? I grew up in the area. My dad was a Bears fan, so when he watched games, I watched with him. Like, it's all his fault. Peter Arnold, it's all your fault. I blame you, jerk. Paulie_Paul 412. Bigger impact on Pittsburgh sports, Mean Joe Green or Mario Lemieux? And to be fair, your question isn't biggest impact on Pittsburgh sports because somebody might throw out there a Pops, a Willie Stargell. They might throw out a Roberto Clemente. I cannot answer that because I don't live in Pittsburgh. I would default to Mean Joe Green because he was the true franchise player that everything was built around for that steel curtain defense of the 70s, that team that won the 4 Super Bowls under Chuck Noll. But Super Mario was fantastic, man. But I think he probably got to go Mean Joe Green. WWE, do the dab. Where is Ray Lewis's white suit? Gee, I wonder. 21 years later, still fucking looking. Greg HNIC. Would you have rather seen a Kobe LeBron finals in 2009-2010, LeBron never leaving the Cavs in 2010, LeBron getting real playing time in the 2004 Olympics, or LeBron never making that abortion of a stupid thing that I'm not even going to name the name of that movie, that lie that you're talking about right now, Craig? Since we don't acknowledge that abortion of a movie, I don't care if you made it or not. Everybody knows it's a farce. They know it. There's only one Space Jam. There's only one. With a true story documentary about how Michael Jordan saved the universe from the basketball-playing aliens called the Monstars. They had Charles Barkley's powers, Muggsy Bogues' powers, Patrick Ewing's powers, and Sean Bradley. Sean Bradley! We were doomed! Yes, I would have liked to have seen him get some real playing time in the 2004 Olympics, and Larry Brown deserves an eternal cock kick for that lame-ass performance by that team in Athens. But I would choose either between the Kobe-LeBron finals or never leaving the Cavs in 2010. I would default to the Kobe-LeBron finals in 2009 or 2010. That's something I would have rather seen, personally. Mojo_Jojo1104. What is your view on Civil War reenactments? A lot of people have that as their hobbies, and that's cool. It's a way to bring history to life, help teach history, especially if you're teaching an accurate version of history, not some lost cause revisionist bullshit. But the good thing about Civil War reenactments is generally they try to be very historically accurate, almost snobbish to that point. They are, telling the story of those times and of those battles, and, I think they're cool. Like, I don't do them. I would never do them. But I think they're an important thing. People like doing them, great. Angel of Ashes. If you could take one current NFL player that isn't a quarterback and put them on the current Bears, which player would you pick? I like how you had to preface that by saying not a quarterback, because I would have taken the easy way out there. For the Bears and where they're at right now, it might be either Travis Kelce or George Kittle. I know some Bears fans are going to be like, well, what about Cole Kmet? I'm going to say, what the fuck about him? Nice player, but we've seen nothing that indicates so far that he's a Kelce Kittle type of talent. You give a young quarterback like a Justin Fields or Robinson and Mooney on the outside, and now you give him an elite tight end like a Kelce or a Kelce or a George Kittle, you got to feel pretty good about that. So, yeah, it's got to be somebody on the offensive side of the ball. Easy answer would be Aaron Donald, but I don't want defense in Chicago. I want offense. Keys 10, Allen Iverson or Ray Allen? AI. Jay Godson, who's your most underrated draft prospect in this year's NBA draft and most overrated prospect? To me, the most underrated might be Şengün. There's going to be questions about how does he hold up defensively or this or that. Dude dominated in the Turkish league at 18 years of age. It's got to mean something. So I think he's underrated. He's one. As I think about most overrated, maybe Evan Mobley. I don't want that to come across as a knock against the talent. But just even if he's high-level talent, matches what you got in the modern NBA from a big man, how long does it take him to develop into that? Just what is his true upside? You talk about taking him in the top 3. Wouldn't you rather take guys with higher scoring upside potentially in the top 3? He might be one. Kuminga might be another one. It's interesting to hear some of the talk about him dropping because a lot of people were assuming he was a top 5 guy. I kind of was too for a little bit, and then all of a sudden we start talking about it. I don't know. It's hard to say because there's such a wide range in this draft because this is a good and deep draft that guys could go all over the place. It's hard to know. I will say this. If somebody like a Franz Wagner goes in the top 10, I think he's going to be overrated in that sense. Because what I would struggle to understand is what is so different for him compared to a Trey Murphy type of guy. Or even a Zaire Williams when you're thinking about upside. What's the difference there? It's a good draft, though. But I think underrated guys, certainly that. Jokovitis, the international dude, who's got the huge buyout. Like if somebody has him as a draft and stash guy, he could vastly outplay his draft position in years to come. Trying to think of who else. I'm also trying to factor in like where people might go in the draft. Dosunmu from Illinois might be another one. Might not be great, but I envision he'd be able to have a long career in the league, and he'll be able to, be a secondary ball handler. He could be a defensive stopper. Like I really like his game in some ways as it projects to the NBA level. Spinner Media YT, have you been on a vacation lately? If so, where would you like to visit? Man, I was thinking about the other day, the last time I truly took a vacation as an adult, like destination, actually went somewhere, I don't think I ever have. Might take like a road trip to somewhere for a day or two, but I don't count that. But like actual excursion, planning out shit for a week, I can't say that I ever have. As an adult, I cannot. So usually most of my time off from, let's say, a work is more of like a staycation, something along those lines. Yeah, pretty much. John Jones. Where do you think Julio Jones is going to rank all time when he retires? And also keep grinding, brother. Thank you for that, John. Same to you, sir. Albany State in the house. Oh, excuse me. Where is Julio Jones going to rank all time? Probably top 10. I mean, not putting him ahead of Jerry Rice. Not putting him ahead of Don Hudson. Not putting him ahead of Randy Moss or Terrell Owens. I think Antonio Brown was better during that kind of decade stretch. So some were probably in the top 10, maybe 12. Certainly Hall of Fame. Jay-Z is overrated. Top 4 teams as a Bears fan that you love seeing them beat. Top 4 teams. Obviously the 3 teams in the division. Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit in that particular order. And then the 4th team is probably the Dallas Cowboys. Because I like seeing when they beat the Texas version of them. And that's exactly what the fuck they are. So that would be the top 4. Alex Ibarra, 798. Is Giannis better now than LeBron was at 26? That is a fascinating question. I don't think so. I mean, let's think about it. Try to think. LeBron is what? 37? I'm trying to look it up now. 36, 37? So when he was 26, he was choking in the NBA Finals. Was that 2011? No, you know what? I could potentially say that. Yeah, I could say that. Just at their 26 ages, Giannis is better than LeBron. Ooh, that's going to get some strong reactions, but I think it's true. Don't look at me. Let's say God says you can go back in time and sacrifice one of the Bulls' championships so they only won 5. In exchange, the Bears will win a Super Bowl title this year. Do you make the deal? Why would Triple H be worrying about my Chicago teams? Why would Triple H be worrying about that? Ugh. No. Don't take those memories from me. I want the Bears to win one because they build the right team and they go out and fucking do it. And I have to do some type of garbage-ass trade-off. So no, I would not be willing to do that. And if that means the Bears never win another Super Bowl in my lifetime, so be it. But I'm not giving up any of those 6 Bulls championships. I'm just not. No. So anyways, thank you to everybody that submitted your questions for this Q&A or the first part of the Q&A. I truly appreciate it. You guys take it easy. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe. Damn it. I'll see you later.